#RealRaceTalk. It's the Revved Up Sports Show talking local, regional, and national action. Here's Bobby Chaffee and Rodney Rodriguez.
Hey guys, it is Monday. It is a Revved Up Sports Show when we are rolling live from just north of Austin, Texas. Glad you all are a part of the program as we are into holiday time. And I am obviously flying solo tonight. Bobby Chaffee on the road. So it's going to be all of you guys and me getting after it here tonight on the Revved Up Sports Show. And what we're going to do with the show tonight, something just a little bit different, kind of what I was thinking here is I really want to dive into 2023 highlights. We can talk maybe a little bit about lowlights too. I mean, we could talk about all that stuff. And the other thing as well is I want to talk about what we are kind of looking forward to in 2024, because as we start diving into the new year, it's something to where we're looking forward to what's going to be going on. I mean, we've seen some series that are now releasing schedules. I mean, most of these tracks, and again, you guys, this is all about you guys tonight. We do have at 7:00, Joe Spillman's going to jump on. He and I are going to go back and forth. He's going to co-host with me at 7. Dude's in a plane. I think I saw somewhere that he was on a plane piloting himself. So that's going to be fun as we get him in here. So I want your comments tonight, guys. I want you to be a part of the show. And as you can see right there, I mean, dive in, post your comments, and let's just let's kind of freestyle this one tonight. We're doing this old school. We're just going to dive in and talk about the things that were 2023 and what's coming up in 2024. As always, the show presented by a lot of great people. Of course, it is Rogers Dabbs Chevrolet, GM Performance, the great folks in Brandon, Mississippi, all of your GM Performance parts, crate engines, all of that good stuff. They're going to hook you up. You guys can message me directly, and I'll get you the best price that you're going to find in the country, because it is the best inventory, the most inventory that you're going to find in the United States and probably beyond, even in Canada. Generation Race Cars. Been riding the Revved Up train for a long time. My man, Justin Long, a part of that. So a big thanks to Justin as well. And of course, as always, I always talk about on-demand shirts. And let me tell you guys something about on-demand shirts. Obviously, I'm not wearing my on-demand shirt tonight. I'm not wearing my Revved Up shirt tonight. That's something I had to do, and for whatever reason, I just threw this on. Kind of, being old school, kind of went the retro tonight, so I'm not wearing that. But let me give you guys a look at something that's really cool, brand new, just released. These were just dropped. They were actually dropped the week of Snowball, the week of the Snowball Derby. These were dropped. I was not able to get my hands on them in Pensacola, and I was not able to get my hands on them in Corpus because I was illin. Here they are. The Revved Up Sports Show T-shirts, courtesy of On Demand Shirts. James Cole and those folks, take a look at that right there. You got the Revved Up logo on the front side, and if you really want to look cool, look at the back right here. There is the Revved Up logo. So quantities of these that we have in hand. So hopefully in the days that come with events that are going to be happening, the closest ones that are going to be happening, we'll have these that we'll be giving to you people. So of course we've got caps, we've got the dirty air, I've got the dirty air stuff as well. So we've got all of that. And the cool thing is, there, I think at some point we're going to get a online store set up to where you'll be able to go and purchase that merchandise, and you'll be able to do that as well. So all of that right there, courtesy of On Demand Shirts. Really cool stuff right there. They will hook you guys up as we start going into 2024. That is part of your marketing thing right there. If you're going to be a racing team and you are looking to get stuff like that, or if you're looking to get caps, koozies, all of that cool stuff, it is On Demand Shirts. They will hook you guys up. One of the great partners right here with the Revved Up Sports Show and RPM Multimedia. So diving in this past weekend, we were racing at the Dome, and I was really back and forth a lot of different ways with everything that was going on right there. To where, I mean, I really did. I enjoyed watching the presentation, and that's where I go with that when I talk about presentation, because what I know a lot of folks. It's on the thing with the NASCAR Cup Series, and seriously, you guys feel free to comment. And that's a funny thing is when I go this route to where I'm like, okay, I'll post your comments. I won't necessarily post your comment unless it's something that we can actually get in there and debate. And seriously, guys, don't feel bad about commenting about anything, because that's why we have this platform, and that's why we go back and forth each and every Monday right here with hashtag Real Race Talk. But I thoroughly enjoyed the Dome. I really did enjoy everything about it. I enjoyed the car counts. I mean, it was really cool to see a lot of super late models, a lot of dirt or modifieds. We had the discussion. We had stems. We were talking about stems last week, to where I am totally all about the growth of the modifieds, because I think that I have a hard on for the modifieds, because to me the time that I was like I said, that I have been a part of that. And look here, friends. Bobby can't make it, but his dad is right there. His dad, Mr. Chaffee, Dad Chaffee, checking in. My man, I guarantee you will have as many of those T-shirts as you want, my friend. Thank you, sir, for checking in, and safe travels to Bobby and Liz as they make their way down the road, getting over to the UTSA bowl game. But with the Dome, the Gateway Dirt Nationals, I caught a lot of shit. And it really was because I was being very vocal about. I truly was comparing what I saw with the Gateway Dome Nationals, whatever it was, to what we do with the Busch Light Clash. I mean, it. I see a lot of folks when we get to February, and it's going to come up again, to where it's like, hey, man, what are they doing over here, making a makeshift racetrack in a coliseum? Well, we were making a makeshift racetrack in a dome in St. Louis. Same concept, and that's okay. I mean, that's really okay, because that's where you get the competition that we had there. I mean, when you get in a tight bull ring like that, I mean, you had them all tied up in there. I mean, these guys are like struggling to get around the racetrack, and man, I ain't got no problem with that, because it truly is short track racing, and that's where I was going back to, just to try to get to get the point across. It doesn't necessarily have to be a nature made racetrack to provide good racing. Um, Shane, my man, thank you for checking in, dude. I wasn't the biggest fan of all the delays. I wasn't the biggest fan of all the, let's wait an hour to get out here and do all. But I get it. And to me, that is ingenuous promoting, to where when you're doing this, what are you doing right there? What are you doing right there? You are selling beer. You're selling souvenirs. You're selling whatever the case is. I talked to a lot of folks that were there, or that actually messaged me while they were there, and they were telling me that the entertainment value of being there during the downtime was extremely fun, to where they had folks that were getting the crowd involved and shooting shirts out in the fucking crowd and all that. And I mean, that's what you do. I mean, that is really what you do. I mean, you have to do that kind of stuff, because that's how you keep the crowd engaged. And the coverage from Flow was really good, and that's where we go back to where I talk about all the time, to where this sport has changed so much, to where it's entertainment. I mean, you are in the entertainment business, and the drivers. I mean, drivers that are sitting there, that are talking to the crowd, that are doing the different things right there, and that's where streaming, to me, because obviously now the streaming game. I was actually doing an interview today with a longtime radio guy. And we were talking about the differences between terrestrial radio, which is AM, FM, and all that stuff, versus what we do here. And that's where guys can jump on the microphone and drop F-bombs and do all the different things right there. That's the difference. And that's the entertainment value. And Flow Sports does a great job of doing this. And Flow Sports does it each and every night. I mean, you can hit Flow right now. You can hit Flow right now, and they are they're showing something that they've done in the past. I mean, they're showing, whether it be a race or a race event or whatever it was, and that's the value of that. And that was the saving grace right there to me, to where it's like during all this downtime, because I mean, it really was, and you guys admit it. I mean, if you're watching it from afar, and folks that were there, I mean, I see my man Adam 12 is checking in. I know he was there, but the difference is right there between actually being there and watching the presentation. Once they started racing, it's great, but the whole thing is, man, it's a lot of stuff that's happening there. And that's where I go back to kind of where, the folks that are sliding NASCAR and the different nuances of what they've done. And NASCAR, I promise you guys that once February comes around and we get back over to the Coliseum, this year it's only going to be even more animated. A lot of like what we just saw, because now you're going to have, I think it's one of the Mexico series that's going to come in. And guys, I mean, think about this. You're going to be in Los Angeles, California. What better thing are you going to have than having the Mexico series in there in California, being a part of what's going on at the Coliseum? You're going to have, I mean, it's a hop, skip, and a jump to get from Mexico to California. And depending on who you ask, there are people that do it legally or illegally. And that's not the point of this conversation right here. But once they bring that in, I mean, it's going to be a massive audience. And, I can truly appreciate that, because this past year, getting to know, I mean, I've known Max Calles for a long time, and getting to know his drivers, Enrique Contreras and my man Kenneth Canales, that have talked to me about the reach that this show has into Mexico, just because we're talking about Mexican drivers and so forth. It's all about reach. It's all about reach. And this past weekend, with what Flo was doing right there, showcasing this, because you did, I mean, the car counts were unbelievable, and the racing was good. I mean, the racing truly was good. But I think if you're a tried and true race fan, you're like, yellow again, red flag again. I mean, that does at some point get to be a little trying. But I totally understand the infatuation with it. But where I'm going with this tangent is that it really is the same thing of what NASCAR is doing. They're going into a spot where they're taking something that is not a traditional racetrack like we're used to being at, and they're going in and they're doing something with it that's a home run. It's a fucking home run. And I think it's like the fourth or fifth time that you have had that the Gateway Dirt Nationals. And I mean, the Tulsa, I mean, what you have in Tulsa, what you have with the Chili Bowl Nationals and all of that, you have these events that are put together that showcase some of the best drivers, and they are not at the traditional racetrack. And that's what I'm telling you guys. And that's where we go back to, I think it's really cool that we have the traditional racetracks that'll fire up in January. I mean, the asphalt folks. I mean, in January, you go to New Smyrna, you're going to have the red eye. You're going to have all of that happening. You got speed weeks that are going to be on the asphalt. I mean, our friends at Heart of Texas, they're going to be racing in February with the Big Chill Enduro. I mean, all of that really kicks off. But kind of back to the dome thing. I mean, the super late models. I mean, to watch those guys rip around that place. I mean, Brandon Shepard gets out there in the B5 and he jumps out ahead. And to watch Ricky Thornton Jr. sit and chase him down, that was good racing. That was good racing. And the cool part about it was, to me, is to watch, I mean, how that racetrack changed. I mean, watching those guys sit and bounce around, and even the modifieds, with Jake Trotman, the winner there over Mike Harrison. I mean, that was a great race as well. It just took a while to get there. And it drug out a little bit. So, one of those things. Great presentation, great show, great lineup of drivers, and I look forward to the next one. Friends, I do want to remind you, as you were checking in this evening, a lot of folks are always asking me, hey, where's the best place to get the Revved Up content? Well, you can get it on YouTube. You can get it on Facebook, all the different places. Of course, Race on Texas, one of our great partners that the show streams on, as well as we multicast in different places. But that right there, you can hit that QR code right there, and it's going to take you right to the Revved Up Sports Show website, which is revvedupsportshow.com. Hit that QR code, and it's going to take you to the site, and you can catch every live show. You can catch all the replays. It will also take you to the YouTube page. All of that is right there in one spot. Your one-stop shop for everything that is the Revved Up Sports Show. And once again, a great thank you to all of our partners, of course, right there, Rogers Dabbs Chevrolet. I do have to give a huge shout out to these folks. And again, I'm affiliated with them. I mean, I do a lot of work with them. But Rogers Dabbs Chevrolet GM Performance Parts, now the official engine provider of Crate Racing USA. That's a massive dirt track racing series that races along the Southeast and even parts of the country right there. Really looking to be a part of things in Texas. So I think some things are really going to be happening in the future right there, to where it's an opportunity for Texas racetracks to be a part of something really cool, if indeed that can all be put together. So hopefully that's something that we'll be able to work with some of the racetracks in Texas. If you're interested, message me directly and I can put you in touch with the great folks. But talking about great partners that do essential things for the Revved Up Sports Show right here in Texas. One of them is Generation Race Cars. How about a word from our man, Phil Whipple, who over in Maine, had a phone call with him today. Man, they have massive winds. It's like 50 degrees. They're not in blizzard temperatures or snowstorms or anything like that, but they're having the Texas feel. They're having trees blown down and all these different things. So kind of keep Phil Whipple in the back of your mind right there as we think about moving into the holiday season and everything that they're going through up in Maine. How about a word from Phil Whipple and our great friends at Generation Race Cars?
Hey racers, Phil Whipple here with the Revved Up Sports Show. For the past year, you've heard us talking about our partners over at Generation Race Cars. I'm proud to say they're back again this year, and they're off to a great start. Generation Race Cars, located in Springtown, Texas, continues to offer new chassis body combos all the way to turnkey sport mods and limited modifieds. All cars are built the same as you've seen in Victory Lane with drivers like Alex Hickam, Jeff Shepard, and Dean Abbey. All customers are valued and treated equally, so why not join the winning team? Justin Long is committed to giving each and every customer the time they deserve, along with a commitment to bring quality into every build. If you're ready to join the team, give the guys over at Generation Race Cars a call today at 817-528-2947. You put a lot into your racing program, so why not take it to victory lane with Team GRC?
Yep, everything he is saying is 100%. Thank you, Phil, right there. Thank you, Justin Long. It is Generation Race Cars, longtime supporter right here of the Revved Up Sports Show. Guys, bring your comments. That, like I talked about, that's what I want to do tonight. I want to talk about the things in 2023. I know we're not done, but we pretty much are. And happy holidays, by the way, guys. This is really the time where you go back and you know, you kind of relax for a little bit and just take a little bit of downtime. Enjoy the time with family and friends and you know, just enjoy this because you got a couple of weeks off. So post your comments right here. I would love to have great constructive conversation with you folks on the highs and lows of 2023, things that we are looking forward to in 2024 with various changes and various, you know, like I said, new series racetrack schedules are out. What are we thinking with some of that? I mean, I know a lot of the schedules are out. I mean, I thought it was a lot of folks were, you know, all up here down south. You know, challenging I-37 about getting your schedule out. Well, boom, there it was. They got the schedule out and things are all set and ready to go. Joe Spillman joins sometime around 7 o'clock. So he is on his way. We will welcome him in and we'll talk with him about, I really want his observations as well, because, you know, now, you know, Joe, the different things that he's done, he's a part of Tom's, he, you know, race announces, he's run racetracks. And that's the other thing that we're watching right now as to where, you know, racetracks looking to stay alive, looking to be able to survive. I mean, I really think that's something that our sport has been in probably since even before COVID. You know, we're in survival mode to where it's like, I mean, things have gotten so expensive. I mean, it costs a lot of money to do this shit. It always has. Even, you know, affordable classes. I mean, you talk about entry level and that type of shit. I mean, yeah, good luck with that. I mean, you look at the four cylinders, those type of classes. I mean, and like Shane says right there really is no downtime. I mean, I see guys that are ripping cars apart, guys that are building new cars, and I think that the one thing that is imperative as we start moving into I'm not just talking about 2024. I'm talking about as we begin to move forward into the next. I'm talking about a 5-year span right here, guys. I think it's very imperative that whether it be a racetrack, whether it be a series, that you stay dedicated to the rules that you have in place. I've watched it over many, many years as to where you get rule changes and you get things that are supposed to benefit the racer. And what that actually does is it deters them or it takes them out of the sport. And I think that's where it seems like right now we're in a pretty good place to where with IMCA, and I'm going to go straight to IMCA, where that to me is such a strength because you have that governing body that's going to be the one that kind of oversees everything it's going to sit there and make sure that everybody is staying within rules. Yes, it is totally up to the racetrack. It is totally up to the tech staff. It is totally up to those folks to make sure that all of that is going to stay in line. But I think the fact that you actually have a governing body and USRA as well. I mean, they as well are doing everything that they can to keep this all in line, and that's really the most important thing. And a great call out right here from our man Chris David, Race on Texas. I've noticed that 2-day shows seem to do really well. It's a better idea to have racetracks run more specials or less weekly, and that's a great question. That is a great question. Now, and I'll talk to Joe about that. Always curious about people's opinion on weekly racing versus other things that you can do. And that's really where the sport has changed so much over the years as to where, man, I've said it so many different times, is to where we used to race 22, 24 different Heart of Texas Speedway, Kennedale, these folks that are always racing every week, man. That right there, that's where you really go to those tracks, and they are the ones. They are the ones who are, it's like, damn, they're able to do that, and they're able to keep folks in the stands and keep cars in the pits. And to me, that is massive. That is massive because it's unheard of. Because you do have 2 times a month. You have 1 time a month to where it's more an event, and the 2-day shows are something that are extremely popular these days. All right, let's dive in here. Got him all hooked up right here, and welcome to the Revved Up Sports Show once again. Now on video for the first time. Man, looking clean, looking sharp, my man Joe Spillman.
Yeah.
Joe, you've been out flying, my man. I saw the plane. Did you fly over to the spot right here?
I flew. I did fly just a little bit. And first off, I hope to God this thing works because I've never used a video or mic on my computer ever. I usually just look at some bad sites and then do some invoicing, and that's all I do. So
Right.
hopefully it's working.
Yeah, no, you're totally good, man. Looking sharper than a $2 pistol, and you sound crisp and clear, my man. So, kind of talking the consensus of the show tonight. 2023 to you. What are the highlights that you take out of 2023? And feel free to do the lowlights too. I mean, I'm telling folks that, I don't necessarily want to sit here and slam a track or slam a series, but things that we can learn from this. 2023 in a nutshell for you, Joe. What have you taken out of this shit, man?
Well, there's been a lot of good stuff come through the year, and like you just talked about, Kennedale, Heart of Texas, those kind of dedicated weekly tracks. You're going to get those dedicated weekly racers, and they're not going to travel. They're not going to move, go across country and travel. But by God, if that racetrack's open in Waco or Kennedale or Abilene Speedway or down at Cotton Bowl, if they're open, the dedicated racers are going to be there. Now, in the last couple of weeks, we've seen the influx of these big mod races coming up, the 100,000 a win from Barry Braun and a 50,000 a win from the Mod Wars over at Heart of Texas and Chase Allen. They got everybody's hype up for next year. Long ways out, it's September, next year it's 10, 11 months away. But, not everybody can travel. Not everybody can pay those entry fees. Not everybody can take off a week and go race a 4-day, show. So I think you still got to focus on kind of the blue collar, the dirt, just the old country boy going out there to race at Waco or Abilene or wherever it may be.
Yeah. And Joe, I mean, like I was talking about before you came on, I mean, you've seen it from every aspect of this. I mean, you've been a driver, you ran 281 successfully. I mean, now you do race announcing, you've been a part of Tom's and all of that. It really is, man. It's a bitch right now. I mean, whatever part, I mean, even the racers, I mean, a lot of folks, I always talk about promoters and all that shit, but I mean, for racers, it's extremely hard right now. I mean, just kind of touch on that. This sport has grown so much to where it's truly is a labor of love to be able to do this. I don't give a damn what you're doing.
Yeah, and it has, and we're not as fortunate as like up in Iowa and Nebraska. I know mine's out there, and I don't even have one. Son of a.
Oh, come on.
But
Man.
I know we're gonna take a break. Let's go to a pause right now. We'll be right back. No,
you tell me when you're ready, and we can do that.
No. You go to Iowa and you can go to 4 tracks within 2 hours of each other. And you come to Texas, and hell, it might be 4 hours between tracks. So we're not as fortunate as they are up there. And the travel, especially the price of fuel, price of tires for your rig, price of insurance, it's just all making it very hard for these kind of local racers to travel and make it work. So I see Jason Batts watching us, the acrobat. So good to see the old 9 machine. But some people race because it pays good, it has a good pay down, and some people race just because they want to go race, and there's a fine line there between doing what you love and then do what makes financial sense. And it kind of sucks nowadays.
Yeah, last week, I mean, you mentioned right there about some of the big stuff that's coming up in 2024 that's like way out, and I'm with you. I mean, I'm like, let September and all that of 2024 is great, and July and all that, man. But damn it, let's kind of tail it back a little bit. Your thoughts? It seems like the modifieds. I mean, I love the modifieds. Like I said, you've been a part of Tom's. I mean, that's been the one thing where, is this going to be something to where this is able to circumvent itself and bring itself back around once again with the modifieds, or the Bombers just going to continue to kill these fields, man?
Careful, you're going to get hate mail if you start calling them Bombers.
I'm used to it, dude.
Yeah, Shane Pretty always, he didn't make every Tom show, but man, when he did show up, it was a long drive for him to get out there, and it was good to see him out there all the way from where they're from out towards Lubbock, Abilene area. But I don't know. I mean, you start putting on these big races, and yeah, you're going to get attention from across the nation, but a $200 entry fee, $250, is that local guy that's just trying to get his start money able to show up and make that? I don't know the answer to that. I mean, I would try, but I guess as long as they, get that full field. You were talking earlier about, Gateway and in Tulsa at the Chili Bowl, they, even with some of those steep prices, they get plenty of people there, and so it works. So I don't know, the Tom's deal is a good deal. They've put on a good show. They got a good kind of product going there. And it seems the tire rule kind of equalized the field, and the IMCA guys are pretty competitive, even with a crate versus the open motors, because they're all on the same G60. So I think they've got a good deal. The deal that Chase and Jerry and Selby are doing at Heart of Texas, put them all on the same rear tire. I think that's a good deal, and hopefully equalize them out and take some of that, big money, they call it, that spend so much money on horsepower out of the equation and make them drive the damn cars again.
Isn't that the biggest part? I mean, I know a lot of folks, with the NASCAR Cup thing, it's like they bitch about, the car sucks and all these different things. I mean, isn't that really the cool thing is when you level this shit out as much as possible and you put it back in the driver's hands? I mean, that's really, I mean, that's why we race. I mean, we want to you don't want to get outmotored. You don't want to get outshocked. You don't want any of that to happen. Man, I was always the first guy. If I sat there and ran wheel to wheel with somebody and they beat me and they just outdrove my ass, which happened a lot of times, man, that was a good night.
Majority of the time, that's what happened to me.
Yeah, no doubt. Isn't that what we're trying to get back to? Because all the different things that all the different circumstances that we deal with right now.
Yeah, I mean, and you go back to the Gateway on the opening night, and it was dry slick and it was dusty, and a lot of people were bitching that, well, this is slow, it's boring, it's whatever. And you didn't hear many drivers bitching about that because it took that, horsepower and just giddy up. Now there's a few, I take a William Gould, that guy likes it rough and cowboy up and get up on the wheel. Joe Duvall, same way, get up on the wheel and let her rip tater chip. And they're fun to watch. And by no means am I saying anything bad about them, because they are a blast to watch. I would rather watch, honestly, a rutted up racetrack that's going to tear up some shit, because those guys are going to get up on the wheel. But as a driver and an owner, no, just give me something slicked off in black and let me, kind of get my way around there and hope I do better than they do. But that's just, my opinion versus theirs. But when you get it all rutted up and tore up, you tear up a lot of shit too. So,
yep. Joe, put that promoter hat on. Whether it be a weekly, bi-weekly, whatever. I mean, that part right now, I mean, it is so hard. I mean, you got to try to keep the racers happy. One little thing, they get pissed off and they're not going to come back. They'll go somewhere else. I mean, kind of talk about that part. I mean, we got so many folks. I mean, those are the damn heroes right now, man. The folks that continue to come back for more, and just keep opening the damn gates every week.
Well, and you get to know your drivers. There's certain drivers, even as an announcer at Waco, and I go down there to get my pay, and they're, this son of a bitch, I'm never coming back. And the flag man did this, and I can't believe they called that. And the wrecker ripped my bumper off. And I guarantee who's going to be the first in line at the pit gate next Friday night is that same driver, and you learn to kind of, and I had to do that. I had pretty thin skin when I started it, and I took everything to heart, like they were personally attacking me and my, blading ability and ability to work with the drivers. And Shane Pretty did. He came every night over there at Stephenville to race with us. But at some point you kind of learn, okay, this guy is going to be bitching every week. He's going to be upset about something every week. But you know what? The next week he's going to be back, and he's going to come and he's going to have fun, and then he's going to bitch about it again. And then there's some drivers that they don't bitch very often, but when they do bitch, you probably ought to listen to them. They got something to say that's pretty important. And so you just learn that as a promoter, and I don't want to say you slough off the ones that bitch every week, but you can only cry wolf so many times, and so you just, hey, sorry about your luck, buddy, and we'll see you next week, we hope. And other ones, you're like, you know what, let me look back at the video of that, and I understand, and see if we can do something about that. So
Yep. It's a bunch. It is a lot. And that's just the on-track stuff. I mean, I know you got to deal with all the other stuff. I do want to ask you, man, I was joking, friends, when I said about the Bombers a while ago. Let's talk about the factory stocks, dude. I mean, I think I know you had the KK tires that came, that opportunity right there. A lot of folks going to the slick. I mean, whatever the case is. I mean, I get a lot of folks that tell me, "Oh man, I'm in a factory stock because of the tires are cheap." Yeah, but your fucking car costs $20,000, so don't give me that. Your thought with that? I mean, because the factories, I don't see any lit up in that right there. I mean, that class, especially with the big money shows that we're talking about, it's only going to continue, I think, in 2024 to continue to grow even more than it is right now.
Well, when the factory stocks came out, and you can go back to my Facebook post probably 5-8 years ago, and I said what kept the factory stocks alive is you would put on a $800, maybe $1,000 to win show, and you'd get 100 cars.
Yep.
Because there's some guy there with a $1,800, $2,000 car that feels that he has a chance to make the show, if not even win the show.
Yep.
Right. And he kept showing up. Well, all of a sudden we paid $1,000 to win, so we better step it up to $2,500 to win, because this other track is paying $2,000. Well, now instead of 100 cars, you get 75 or 80, because now that guy with that $1,800 car doesn't have a chance to win, and he knows it, and they start showing up. And my concern is they're going to keep bumping this up, and they're going to kind of root out that blue collar guy, that grassroots guy.
Yeah.
And you're going to end up with the elite of the elite, which the racing's badass. It's the best racing ever. I wouldn't want to race against any of those guys, because they would just put me against Whitehead. Yeah, he'd probably lap me in 2 laps, But the point is, and I might be wrong because it seems to keep going, but my thought was originally you keep upping this pay, you keep rooting out that, grassroots guy, and eventually you're going to have 25 cars racing for $10,000 to win. instead of 100 cars racing for 1,000 to win, and do the math on the backside of that and tell me how it works out.
Yeah.
So,
That's exactly.
I don't know. I hope I'm wrong, but the USRA taking on the sanction, and now they allow you to groove the slicks. They allow you to run KK 704s. I mean, fuck, at this point, we ought to be running ice stocks,
Right. Yeah.
They now I think some of them are running headers. I don't know. I mean, but that's the evolution of racing. They keep progressing up and then they revert back down. Street stocks in the 90s when I raced at Heart of Texas were about like factory stocks are now. We ran street tires, we ran manifolds, no headers. Pretty much with the factory stocks, we could run a quick change. And then there was a hot stocks that they had that were primarily Camaros with 10-inch tires. But then that progresses up, right? And so they keep getting faster and faster and faster. And now the street stocks are now stock cars, iStocks. And now they had to create pure stock. Well, shit, that's the same thing as the factory stocks. So it's an evolution. It just keeps going.
Yeah. No, that's definitely the thing. I mean, it's like a cycle. I mean, I know on pavement, and this is where I go back to all the time. And after this, you can go get a beer and we'll run some spots. But it's like, man, I've seen it on asphalt for year after year to where it cycles around every 5 to 7 years to where classes fall off, something else evolves. A street stock becomes a super stock, and the shitty part is when that circle happens, somebody gets eliminated. And there are guys that have shit sitting around. And that's why I'm kind of excited about the modified thing. If the modified, I think Sims is going to be a good thing around here. I really do. And with Toms and all that, to where it gives guys opportunities to get the shit off the rack and maybe get out there and race for a little bit of money. To where it's like the money that you invest in there. I mean, it's hard to get it back. You're not going to get it back. But
You
at
never
least,
get it back.
yeah, at least it gives you an opportunity to where it's like, okay, it's not X amount to win and then $100 for second. Just kind of even that shit out a little bit.
Yeah. And it's, and I did an experiment at 281. Everybody knows Big Mike's, my best friend or one of my best friends. And he was like, man, it's about the start money. You got to get the start money there. So one week, and he tells me my experiment was flawed, but I stand by it. 1 week I took an extra $500 and I put it on factory stocks, and I added $50 to first and the other $450 all the way through the field. Added $500 to the field. And our car count went from like 12 to 14 or 15, which we never had a lot of cars there, but we didn't need a lot of cars.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, we gained 2 cars. And the next week I took the same $500 and I put it on sport mods, and I put $450 on first. So I made it, instead of like, I think it's $400 to win, I made it like $850 to win. And I added the other $50, like $10 from second on down. We doubled the car count the next week. Nobody asked what start money was. Nobody said what's second pay. I just advertised $800 or $850 to win sport mods, and it doubled the car count. So everybody wants to talk about start money and paid good through the field, but I'm going to say that the majority of the racers look at that win. And I mean, I'm guilty of too. And I never really had a chance, to win. I had like 5 wins total in my 912 year career. So, so it felt.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I mean, the whole thing is, I mean, I love that, to where it is so many times where you get, $500. Okay, boom, to first. I mean, the winner gets $500, and it's like, God dang it, that. I think if anything, it makes the rest of the field feel appreciated. It's like, okay, maybe there's something there for me, and that's so fucking important. And I think people just don't get that part.
Well, a lot of times, I mean, I've done it myself. I said, okay, my pit pass is $30. I've got a 80-mile drive each way. I'm going to burn X number of gallons of diesel in this. If I get start money, what have I cost or lost? and it's always a loss, And when Heather and I shut down 281, I made at that point, I felt I could freely post this. Is like, look, racing is the only sport that I know of where everybody wants to get paid. So take a pool tournament or a poker tournament or a golf tournament or a rodeo. There might be 100 entries and only the top 10 get paid. Now they get paid very well, granted, right? But, I've played in a lot of poker tournaments in my life. And if you don't make that final table, or if maybe there's 1,000 people there, the final 2 or 3 tables, you get jack back from your entry fee. Now people are going to argue, well, we're the racers and we put on the show. We brought the fans in. Yeah, maybe in the 80s and the 90s, but they don't have to go to the races anymore. There's so many venues for them to go to between football and soccer and softball and movie theaters and whatever you might think. We're not packing the stands like we were then. And I made a post, and it was semi-controversial, like eventually it's going to be like a club racing, and y'all are going to put your money in a pot. Top 2 or 3 are going to get paid, and everybody else gets to go home and try again next week. And I hope that it never comes to that. And it seems to have turned in the last 2 years or 3 years. It seems to have, made that corner, broken, turned around. So I don't think we're at that point. I did think we were there maybe 3 or 4 years ago, but it seems to turn a corner now.
Yeah, it really does. I mean, it really does seem to have turned a little bit. All right, my man, get yourself a quencher. I'm going to show a couple of spots right here. We're going to come back. I'm glad you mentioned right there about being the show, because that's something that I did definitely want to talk to you about. More coming up. It's Joe Spillman. He is with me co-hosting the Revved Up Sports Show. Stick around, friends.
Hey racers, Phil Whipple here with the Revved Up Sports Show. For the past year, you've heard us talking about our partners over at Generation Race Cars. I'm proud to say they're back again this year, and they're off to a great start. Generation Race Cars, located in Springtown, Texas, continues to offer new chassis body combos all the way to turnkey sport mods and limited modifieds. All cars are built the same as you've seen in Victory Lane with drivers like Alex Hickam, Jeff Shepard, and Dean Abbey. All customers are valued and treated equally, so why not join the winning team? Justin Long is committed to giving each and every customer the time they deserve, along with a commitment to bring quality into every build. If you're ready to join the team, give the guys over at Generation Race Cars a call today at 817-528-2947. You put a lot into your racing program, so why not take it to Victory Lane with Team GRC?
Hashtag Real Race Talk. We are back live on a Monday. It is Joe Spillman, Rodney Rodriguez, Bobby Chaffee on the road. So Joe has got he's got the power right there, and so there we go, right there.
A little brown liquor we're going with this time.
There we go. We'll just say IMCA stock cars right there, and we'll take a drink right there.
IMCA stock cars up next, coming out.
Boom! There it is, right there. Take a shot. That is Joe Spillman's favorite class. Joe, kind of talking about all the things, man. I have the older I've gotten, the more that I see right here. You mentioned right there where drivers talk about we're the show and this, that, and the other. Man, I think it's so imperative right now that drivers, man, you got to fucking sell yourself. I mean, it's one thing to get out there. You got to speak well. You got to get out there and talk, whether it's in victory lane or if Race on Texas comes and sticks a mic in your mouth about random bullshit. I mean, you got to get out there, man, because you are the show to a certain extent. But you got to be the show, right? I mean, isn't that so important right now with the way that racing has changed?
Yeah, and one of my not as proud moments, a few years ago, 7-8 years ago, Danny Bennett was still the promoter over at Cotton Bowl. Jerry was freshly new at Heart of Texas, and things in the racetrack world were suffering. They were going to cut the pay. They were going to pay everybody pretty much the same. I raced a modified then, and Jamie Songer from up north, was doing these live videos, and I started kind of copying him, and I started on this whole dancing bear. Like, we're the dancing bear of your circus as a racer, and nothing against the hobby. This was before factory stocks, and it was nothing against the hobbies, but you can't pay a hobby stock that has $2,000 in their entire car the same as modifieds that, we had 10 and 12 grand in our engines alone. And I started this dancing bear videos. And it worked. I mean, honestly, it worked. It put enough pressure on the tracks that they fixed the pay.
No.
But then after going into promotership and realizing what an asshole I really was, I said I would never do that again because I was, and Jack Sarton of all people said, "Have you ever looked up a dancing bear video on the internet?"
Yeah.
You probably don't want to do that unless you're ready to see some explicit stuff, but that's a different story. That was from Jack Sarton, by the way. But my point is, and we talked about it a little bit earlier, there's that kind of fine line between the racetrack can't survive without our racers.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, but guess what? The racer can't survive without a racetrack either. There's a balance there. And yes, they are the show, but gone are the days where you go to your local Ford house and say, "Hey, give me $10,000 and I'll advertise for you."
Yeah.
And that goes for the racer or the track, both. I'll put your name on my car, and they're like, "Well, I can get on Facebook and do it for free, or I can do a $50 push boost, and I'm seen by 20,000 people. Will I be seen by 20,000 people? No, you're probably going to be seen by about the 600 same people week in and week out. So the gones are the days of those big, pawn shops. I remember Hewitt Pawn Shop was a big sponsor at Heart of Texas in the 90s, and gone are the days. Hello, Rachel Plant. That's Miss Pick Chick herself with a pink tire.
That's right.
Uh-oh. What the hell? All right, somebody take his beer. He can't work the TV over there. So gone are the days, though, where you can just go to a sponsor and ask for a big chunk of money, and they do it because it's their form of advertising. Because with everything, social media and internet and everything else, it's pretty much free. They get much more bang for the buck, So there's a fine line there. The tracks need a racer, obviously. But the racer needs a track too, It
does. It does. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because I do want to ask you, and I mean, I know it's been a few years since 281, but kind of back to the promoter hat, because I know a lot of folks, 10 years ago, when like Race on Texas and Speed 51, they were, in infancy stages of doing this shit, of doing streaming and all this. But like now, it's like, man, that's such a big part of what we do. I mean, people don't or can't go to the racetrack. I know during COVID, you remember, Joe, we would always talk about, it's like, we know a lot of people choose not to go to the racetrack because of whatever. Your thoughts on streaming, dude? Because now streaming is mainstream. I mean, we just watch this Flow thing, like I was talking about with the Dome. That's in St. Louis, and all these fucking people are watching. And give me your streaming thoughts. I mean, you've got Race On; they're giving money back to the racetrack, and all of the streamers do it. I mean, Flow does it, and believe it or not, Racing America does do it as well. I know people don't want to admit that, but talk about that part. Who would have ever thought us as whether it be Stars and Stripes Speedway or Texas Thunder, Speedorama, that these days you can just hit your computer and
Or
the
your
shit's
phone.
right
Or your
there.
phone.
Or your phone. Yeah, isn't that crazy?
It is. And when Chris David come to us at 281, it was probably the first year that they had it. We didn't have the ability to live stream. It was, they would record it and then people would have the ability to play it back. And so we didn't get kind of the profit share stuff like some of the tracks get nowadays. I was reading Shane. Sorry, I get distracted. Squirrel.
Yeah, I'll pull that. You like this? This is kind of fancy, right? It's like,
yeah, it's nice. I can see it right there when it happens, but then it's my simple brain. I just can't focus.
I know.
But when Chris David, and so when they started that deal, Gary Faulkner. I'm going to turn it off so I can focus. When he came to us, we were like, okay, we'll try it, and then when we'd have a bigger show or something, he would throw us some bucks, 500 here, 1,500 there, and that made a huge difference for us. All of a sudden, our overhead costs, maybe our insurance that night was covered, by them, or the employees and our that stuff. So it was a big help even back then before they were live streaming it. As time has progressed, it's gotten more technical. Of course, at 281, we never had the ability for fangirls. Hello, Kelly.
Hey, ain't no problem with that.
I can see that over here, dude. You don't have to share it right there. Yeah.
No, I pull that up so everybody else can see it.
Oh, okay. So we can only
see
see this and they can't see that. Is that right? Everybody can see that.
Depending what platform they're on, because we're like on all these different pages. So I pull it up. I'm just trying to get people to message. That's a funny thing, Joe. It's like when I don't pull up messages, everybody's like messaging, boom, boom, boom. But when they're like, holy fuck, he's going to pull that shit up if I say something, nobody wants to say anything. So that's what I'm pulling.
I see.
But,
okay.
hey,
Well, I can see all of these, but
I like her message right there. That's important. That's
important. So anyways, back to my original thought, if I can get there. We didn't have the fan share and the weekly share stuff like they do now. Race on Texas has made a huge difference in our local tracks. It started, probably at Heart of Texas, down at Cotton Bowl, Aaron Bergott and Tony and of course Chris David. Everybody that's involved in that deal, especially when they started doing that, all access pass they called it or whatever it was back in the day. And what people don't realize is, when you do that, in November, December, January, when the racetrack's making no money, they're still getting money off of that share. It happens.
Mr. Joe.
Mr. Joe.
Damn, you're old. And I'm older than you.
I am old. I now have glasses and no hair. So imagine that shit. Right. But getting that, that money throughout that off season makes a huge difference to the racetracks, and of course we didn't have that over at 281 because we didn't have that live and all access pass and everything that they do now. Now there's, Barry Braun, there's Flo, there's, of course, Race on Texas, which I'll always be dedicated to. That, it helps the track. Obviously they're making some money. They're not going to do it for free. And I guess that will can we spur off into my next diatribe soapbox?
Dude, you're in charge right here.
Do we have to midnight or something?
You drive it, man. This thing will go on and on, man. I've got so much tape on here, man, and the cable is long. You just tell me what the fuck you want to talk about. It is all about you.
No, anyways, you were talking about the streaming. We'll get on to my next soapbox, but go ahead on your streaming stuff.
No, I'm done with that. I mean, I'm a streamer. So that's all I had right there. You bring it on, man. You ask me something, and now I'll try to answer.
Yeah, so on the way home,
whatever. Yeah.
On the way home, after I've been working hard all day long, I put in a solid 14 hours today. Oh, and I flew the airplane a little bit, but other than that,
I saw that.
I heard your show was more about dirt track stuff now, and used to it was all asphalt all the time. Have we converted you over a little bit, you think?
Well, I got to tell you, it's like I talk to a lot of folks, Joe, and it's like when I do a racetrack, a dirt track show, and I'm talking about dirt cars, and I'm talking about dirt, and I want to give you your props, dude, because the years working with you, I mean, you taught me about rotating, and you taught me all the ins and outs about what makes a fucking dirt car go around the track, and people are like, man, you must be a seasoned dirt track guy, and I'm like, well, I had a really cool dude that taught me how this shit works, but I mean, it's not Joe, I'm a race fan. I don't give a damn, man. I like road racing. I love motocross. I mean, I love it. If it's got 2 or 4 wheels. Right now, I think what we need to do, and it's one of the problems that I have with race fans, whatever you want to call them, man. You got to embrace whatever the hell's going on. Is asphalt racing boring at times? Yes. Does NASCAR suck at times? Most of the time, yes. Like I was saying the other night with the dome thing, I was going on and on and on and bitching about all the downtime and all that. And I'm doing that as a race fan because, like, man, I don't want to sit around for 2 hours with nothing going on. I think we just need to embrace it. I don't give a damn what the surface is. Let's just love this sport because, Joe, I mean, if we don't have these racetracks, what the hell else are we going to do? Go bowling? Fly a plane? I mean, you can drink whiskey. What do we do, man? We gotta be united. We just gotta. Yes, I'm a dirt track guy. To answer your question,
there you go. And the funny thing is, one of my earliest, I guess, racing. I mean, we used to go as a kid to the tractor pools down at the Sheriff's Posse Arena off of 183.
Oh, man, that is way back there. Yeah,
that was in the early '80s, and go there. That was probably my first introduction to high horsepower, and they would just fucking rip it and grip it.
Yeah,
but then we used to go to Longhorn Speedway all the time. And as a kid, I mean, we watched all the races, but here's what I remember the most: Mother, Jugs, and Speed.
You remember that?
Yeah, in the Volkswagen running around, Mother, Jugs, and Speed. Yeah. But that's the thing, though. As a kid, we got to give the kids something memorable, right? Something to remember. And whether it's a bicycle race, my nephew still remembers the bicycle race at Heart of Texas Speedway he won in probably 93, 94. Only because Uncle Joe gave him a really good push off the start. So that's you can't take that flag back, by the way. So, but got to give the kids something, right? Fun to do, and
that's it. Yeah, I mean, you gotta keep them. And the tricky part is with the kids nowadays, Joe, is man, their attention span is like that much. I mean, it used to be give them some cotton candy, give them a program, a picture, and hell, you got a fan for life. Nowadays, it's like, God damn.
They're bouncing everywhere. So,
and that's where I go back to, because I think one of the coolest things that you have done, you have been so great with the Stars of Tomorrow. I mean, it's a homegrown thing right there. I mean, that's a great building block for young race car drivers to be able to aspire to do cool things. I mean, I know we've talked about that in the past, but that's only getting bigger and better, I think, as we go into 2024.
Yeah, it's growing. 3 or 4 tracks picked them up, this year. Kennedale, the Big O, Abilene ran them at their big show. I think Hunt County and maybe even Rocket ran them. And this was a deal, honestly, it was Selby's idea. I won't take all the credit or really any of the credit for the idea. We saw the old mini stock Ford Pintos thing kind of fading out, and Selby kind of, he kind of asked me a little bit about what, on the rules and stuff, but really he wrote the rules. It was his doing. It was Jerry's doing. But then I kind of saw an opportunity there after, I'll be honest, after watching them race, you and I announcing and seeing the same cars do the same thing over and over again and wrecking 2 or 3 other cars. I was like, we need to help these kiddos and give them some instruction, and that goes back to 281. We ran what we call the Queen of the Ville. We were going to race a ladies only race, a big beginners only. You couldn't be racing weekly. Taylor Florio couldn't come race, right?
That's right.
So we would, and we had special hot lap days for these ladies, and it was like Brandon Hood's wife. I mean, I would start naming them, but I'm going to leave a bunch out. But there was a bunch of them that came out and did this. And Jason Batt was a flagman at the time. And we let him come out and hot lap. And Jason says on the radio, he's like, bro, we got to do something to help these ladies get around the track. Right. And so, Shane's daughter ran in it. So what we did was we took some cones and put out on the track, and we let one at a time go out. And I was on a receiver, or Jason, whoever, and we just talked them through the corner, get in the corner harder, lift here, gas it up here. And literally within 2 sessions, they were 100% better, if not more than that. I was like, if this will work for them, it'll definitely work for the kids. Yeah. And so when we did that, kind of school, if you want to call it that, a couple of years ago, it was amazing. The damn kids listen better than adults. If the adults would listen as good as the kids, we'd have a lot less wrecks in the factory stocks.
Isn't that the crazy thing? I mean, I've said that before on this show, to where it's like everything that you guys have done right there with the junior limiteds, with the Stars of Tomorrow. It's like every now and then you got to take the fucking old guys and ladies and sit them down and teach them again, because they forget the basics, man. Isn't that? I mean, God dang it, man! It's like shit. Come on, man. It's a 20 lap race, and you're over here doing this dumb shit on lap 2.
Yeah, and we actually had the first year, and I can't remember his name. I say older guy. I mean, he was definitely an adult, come out in a stock car. He'd never driven a race car before. Yeah. In the first 8 or 10 laps, he was just terrible. When he started spinning out, he'd gas it up, and I pulled him the infield. He came to that hot lap session we had, and I was like, buddy, you got to feel when the ass starts stepping out, you got to pedal it a little bit, lift up a little bit, and next thing I know, he's clicking off top 3s and top 4s, later on in the year. And, not to toot our own horn, but I'm pretty sure that wouldn't have happened without a little bit of just guidance, Yeah. And I don't know. It's a cool thing. I love doing it. I love working with the kids and even just rookies, not even just kids, just rookies.
That's another one of those words right there, the pedaling the car. Because there was one night, dude, I think I was at Corpus, and I was talking about a dude pedaling the car, and I was talking to a guy after the race, and he's like, oh man, pedaling the car, I mean, what a great explanation about how that works. I mean, is that what you used to do? I'm like, fuck no. A guy
there's all gas, no brakes.
All gas, no brakes. Yeah, man. Yeah. Dude, you should have coined that phrase, man. Texas Longhorns are making a living.
Are you telling me that now? Because your fucking Texas Longhorns are using it.
Dude, how about that? How about that, man? God, you missed out, dude. You missed out, man. It's trademark now. Dang
it should be, but I did steal it. So when Zach was playing, he was playing baseball, and he made the what is it? Not honors. What do they call it now?
The select.
The select.
Yeah.
And yeah, Jason Batt's right. We flat wore out Frederick's car. Man, we broke the rear end gear, we wore out the brakes, but we ran a lot of laps with those kids. Yeah. But Zach's playing select ball, and we have this like up, fancy coach come in. We'd be up like 8-0, and he would be like, all gas, no brakes. We're gonna do it. Put your foot on their throat. And that's where I stole it from. So I can't take all the credit from it. I stole it from a baseball coach, but yeah, all gas, no brakes. So
well, it's a good motto. It's a damn good motto. So I do want to ask you. So here we are, end of the year. I guess we're done. I think we're done. We fire off again in January. I mean, 2024 biggest challenges for you. Number one, for local tracks. I think it's Shane that was asking, should you run the more economical classes and bring the other ones in? I don't know what an economical class is. I mean, I don't know if a stock car and a factory stock fall into that, and we're talking about mods and all that. If you were promoting, if you had a brand new or you fell into promoting one of these racetracks, what would be your weekly or bi-weekly or whatever show? Your class schedule, because I think it's important when you start running 8 or 9 classes. That's pavement shit. That's the problem that we had on pavement, and that's what killed that shit. What would you do?
So the problem is, and I have this argument with Big Mike about weekly. Mm-hmm. and he and I are on the same page, is that, you go up north, they have hobbies, they have stock cars, sport mods, and mods, 4 classes, and they are full of each of them. Down here, guys won't change classes. They will park their shit in the field and let it sit. And when we started 281, Waco had shut down the outlaw mod class. They called them the outlaw street stocks. They called them street mods. They had shut them down because they had pretty much priced themselves out of it. And so we started out, okay, we're going to run mods. Obviously, we're going to run stock cars. Well, shit, we need to run sport mods. Well, factory stocks are really good. We got to run factory stocks, right? Well, then I see all these street stocks because Waco had shut them down about 2 years before. And when we took over 281, they had combined the street stocks and the factories, and they weren't doing well because the factory stocks wouldn't show up because they thought they were outmotored and out-tired by the street stocks. And same with the street stocks, there just wasn't enough of them to show up. And so we added on the street stocks. Well, the street stocks did really well because people started dragging these cars out. And I would call people and say, hey, could we get you to convert your factory, if we want to run IMC hobby stocks? Well, fuck that North Star. We're not sending money up north to Brett Root and screw this and screw that. And they just wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
And vice versa. Hey, could I get you to take your street stock? It's pretty much all stock, but you got a 9-inch. Would you put a 7.5 under it and convert it to a factory? Fuck no. I've got my car and I'm going to I guess I'll let it sit in the garage. It ain't costing me nothing there. And that's what we're up against, unfortunately, down here. And people won't convert their cars. Yes, Shane Pretty did build a street stock out of his sport mod. But people won't convert to something they don't believe in, which, okay, have your beliefs and sit at home and watch TV, I guess, because you don't have a place to race. And when Waco went away from the hobbies, whatever that was, 5-6 years ago, because they were only getting 6 to 8. I know personally, Jerry went to the hobbies and said, hey, your car is very close to factory stocks. We got to change. The hobbies had no weight limit and they could run a 9-inch and they could run a mini clutch, I believe it is. And Jerry himself went to the 6 or 8 and said, I'll help you convert that. I'll find parts. I'll help, whatever. Not one on one to do it. They just parked their shit or sold it. And that was the end of that, And people are just not going to do anything to change, unfortunately. So,
Joe, so what do you think? I know like at Waco, you've got the outlaw street stocks, which to me, that's a badass class because to me, if you've got something sitting around, that's a fucking class you need to race. Or at Cotton Bowl, with I don't remember what it's called. That's the class where, you got something that's kind of radical, put it in that because the rules are going to fit it. But I've seen like with 37, and again, not to pick on racetracks, but with 37, you got the fireball class to where, I like the concept right there, but like you're talking about, a stock car a Chevy doesn't need a Ford 9-inch rear end behind it, in my opinion. I know with Owens tracks, you've got the hobby stocks and all that, with the Novas and all that, the leaf spring cars and the 7.5, the GM and all that. Kind of your thoughts on those classes, on hobby stocks and entry level, bringing cars out of the woodwork.
I think that's just like, I think that's just like what we did at 281. We saw a lot of street stocks sitting out there that weren't getting used, Wade White, Brandon Hood, those guys. And it's like, okay, we can create, kind of form a class here. And I think that's what 37's done with the Fireballs. I think they've done a good job. I haven't paid as much attention to what Ray and Mike's done down there, but it seems to be growing. You have to have some kind of an entry class. I'm sorry. You have to do it. You asked earlier, what's affordable? Well,
No.
what's in your bank account, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because what I can afford is not what the next guy, and what he can afford is not the next guy, right? I can afford a very nice ice stock. I cannot afford a very cheap late model or a sprint car. So it's all perception and relative to where you're at in your life.
Yeah.
I don't know the answer to that. I haven't paid as much attention down to Owen and Corpus and what they've done as far as those pure stocks and hobby stocks and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But, by God, if it's working for them and they're getting in cars, all gas, no brakes, send it.
Yeah. So I'm glad you mentioned late models. What do we have to do? And I'm taking notes here for different reasons. What do we have to do around here to make a crate late model class excel in South Texas? I mean, south to mid Texas. I mean, I know that it's always a struggle. North does what they do, but God dang it, man, I want to have a good late model class down south. What in the hell? I mean, I know they're expensive. I know they cost money, but what needs to happen there, in your opinion?
Well, I mean, quite honestly, there's just not the density of people to make it happen. You look at where it works, there might be 5 million people within so many square miles. Yeah. And down here in Texas, where we are, even from Dallas, Dallas has done pretty well with that crate late model that they got going, and Daniel has got going on. That's a pretty good deal that actually Mark Shipman started up.
Yep.
But when you get down south of Waco, really south of Dallas, and you get to Waco, even Austin, there's just we're so spread out. And now all of a sudden, instead of going 30, 40 miles to race, you're going 200 miles to race. Mm-hmm. From where I live, my closest racetrack is Cotton Bowl, is 120 miles. Mm-hmm. Waco's 150, Abilene's 180, and Kennedale's 200. So there's no place close, for the average guy to go that he can afford to go to on a Friday or Saturday night. Yeah. And then add in the money of a late model and the fucking tires and shocks and, all the stuff they do. And it's so complicated, honestly, and the geometry and everything.
Yeah.
The typical guy can't just go out there and afford to do it,
Yeah. That's the one thing that I'm finding. It's like the motor is hardly the issue. There's all the other shit. I mean, there's so much of it. So Joe, I mean, what are you doing in 2024? I mean, I know that you have your toes in a lot of different shit. I think I saw the 44 might be coming back in February. What all is going on for Backhoe Joe in 2024?
Well, and nobody really knows this yet, but I guess I'll make the debut here. When the Tom schedule came out, I've got about conflicts with about half the races this year, between my son Zach's getting married, Big Mike's daughter is getting married. I'm going to be at that wedding. I've got a trip to New York. I got a trip to Alaska. I'm going to miss about half the Tom's races. So I called John Webb today, actually. And I probably shouldn't debut it here. I should wait until he tells everybody, but it is what it is. I'm going to resign from the Toms. Told him I would help him out the first 3 or 4 races. I don't have any conflicts. Be happy to help him out. But I didn't think it was fair to be on and off as somebody making calls. And then the next thing you know is last week, that guy got a spot back, and now he doesn't get a spot back, or we didn't call that a caution last week. Why? That does an injustice to the racers.
Yeah.
So John Webb is a badass guy. That's all he is. He owns the Toms. He owns Southern Oklahoma. He and Nikki. So I kind of resigned today from the Tom series. Same with Heart of Texas, trying to step back from just announcing. So if anybody out there looking for a full-time announcing gig, there you go. Oh, Big Mike's calling.
Already calling. There it is.
That's Big Mike going, you shouldn't have said that. He's going to yell at me now. But so, and I told them both. I told Tom's and I told Waco both. It's like, look, guys, I'll be happy to help y'all, how I can, or especially early in the season. I don't have anything going on. But as we get into summer, I got a lot of stuff. And, man, I'm going to kind of step back a little bit from that side. Big Mike and I may or may not have purchased a stock car together.
No.
that we're going to run in some enduro races and maybe races, some stock car races.
Yeah.
Just when time allows, when he wants to, when I want to, and when we get time to work on a piece of shit. So we'll see.
Isn't that the weird thing, Joe? I mean, like everything you're talking about right there. I mean, when and I've been the same way. I mean, when I stepped out of full-time racing, it's like, okay, life's going to be easier. I don't have to mess around with that. But whether it's like you with race directing and working with Toms and announcing and all this shit, man, it's like you step into the other roles and hell, it's worse than racing. I mean, it's all the time. It never stops.
Well, that's what I told John Webb today. I was like, man, I mean, to be honest, race directing is what I love. That's what I thrive on. I like to be on a race, that's probably correct, Shane. I love being on a receiver. I love being up in the booth or down in the infield on a 4-wheeler and say, hey, 12 car, you go to the back, or 15 and 412 or whatever. That's what I thrive on, but with Tom's, as badass it is, and those drivers are some of the best in the country. I'll put them up against any of them. Just going to Oklahoma and going to Grayson and going to Hunt County and Abilene, it's 5-6 hours for me every time each way. And then I got to get a hotel room, and then I miss out on church, and there's a lot of stuff there.
Yeah. That's where, I talk to my friends in Louisiana and Mississippi and all this, race announcers. And it's like, man, I announce 5 tracks. And I'm like, so what's your radius? What's your radius of what you do? It's like, 100 miles. I'm like, dude, that's one fucking track for me.
Yeah.
Like you said, I mean, Cotton Bowl is the closest one, and that's 70 miles. I mean, it's a lot of time and a lot of love. I mean, but I'm sure you're going to get raked into doing some stuff.
I'm sure I will. I've retired 4 times before, and but I am going to make it a point. I want to be able to go, enjoy some of my other stuff and go to the coast or go to Colorado or whatever. Like you said, it's 100 miles to me. To go to Cotton Bowl is 100 miles, but I got to drive through the middle of Austin, so it's 2 hours. And quite frankly, with my old ass, once it gets past about 10 o'clock and I've had about 2 of these, I don't need to be driving home.
That's right.
We go to we go to Waco. I can fly there in 45 minutes, but then I still got to get a room, and then I got to get an Uber back to the airport and then fly back home. And next thing you know, I've wasted half my Saturday, and I love Waco. That's my home track, but we're still going to be involved. I'm sure there's no way around that, but we'll see what it brings. So
scale it back just a little bit. So I guess I'll see you opening night there at Waco, you and I.
I'll see you on Friday. Be there.
Ain't no doubt about it. That's what's going to happen. Joe, man, thank you for jumping on here, dude. I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do, with the show tonight. Dude,
anytime you want a really screwed up show, you just call Joe Spillman. I can make it happen for you.
Are you kidding me, man? This is like a ratings winner right here. They're going to be like, keep Bobby gone.
Yeah.
Good stuff, man. Joe, thank you so much, dude. Happy holidays, you and Sarah and everybody. I mean, I hope you guys have a blessed holiday. Enjoy that time, and man, I know I'll see you soon, and we'll have a beer or one of those, and do it to it, man.
All the above, buddy. Merry Christmas to you and everybody out there listening. Merry Christmas. Y'all be safe and have good travels.
Yep.
And I'm sure we'll see you at the Big Chill.
There it is. That's right. That's coming up in February. Thank you, Joe, man. That's right. There it is. I'm going to that. I am going to that. All right, man. Take care. See you later, man. You bet. There he goes. Joe Spillman talking to us here on the Revved Up Sports Show, diving in tonight, helping me out right there. Great conversation with him. I thought that it was going to be perfect to have him on here just because it was going to be, the conversation of, 2023, what we just went through. And I think this was thank you, Janet, pivotal year, Shane, as well. I think it was a pivotal year in that, we're finally out of the COVID mix, to where that kind of set us back a few years to where getting people to the racetrack, we had to take time off. And honestly, I think when it came to short track racing, we weren't as impacted as much as other local sports, as to where with COVID, we didn't really give a shit. We just went and raced. I vividly remember sitting at the Snowball Derby in 2020 of December, sitting around, I'm looking, and we were still in some of the COVID stuff, and there are people up my ass in every which damn direction. The place was jammed. It wasn't that big a deal. Of course, that was Florida. But again, here in Texas, we really didn't back anything off either, to where it was something that didn't hurt us quite as bad. But I just think from an entertainment standpoint, it affected people to where they didn't want to go to the racetrack, or they couldn't go to the racetrack, or wouldn't go to the racetrack, like I was talking about. But I think that 23 was a big year in the sense that we saw things getting back to normal. We saw racetracks getting back to regular race dates and so forth, like they were accustomed to in the past. And I think going into 2024, there are a lot of challenges, like we were just talking about right there. Escalating costs, whether it be tires, whether it be fuel, whether it be shocks, whether it be, whatever. Equalizing rules to where there is a economical class for folks to start out racing. That's why I think the junior limiteds, eco mods, all of that are so, when it comes to dirt track racing, they are so essential, because that is more of the place for folks to start out and really learn how to drive these race cars. I truly do. I love the 4-cylinder class when it comes to dirt track racing or pavement racing. But to me, that's better suited to pavement racing, because that's something to where you're going to race on pavement, and that's more acclimating to racing on pavement. I think with a junior limited, with an eco mod, with those, that's going to tailor you better if you want to be in a sport mod, or a limited modified, or a modified, or whatever the hell you want to call it. And the abundance of stock car classes of factory stocks continue to just blow things out of the water. We continue to see, the IMCA stock cars. I mean, to me, that is the coolest class of them all. The IMCA stock cars is just, that's really the one. If I've told pavement promoters that struggle with having a stock car class, it's like, God dang it, we got to have a stock car class on pavement. If you could clone an IMCA stock car, that type of rules package, put it on the fucking pavement, there is your pavement class. If you could clone the IMCA stock car for pavement. But, guys, I'm just full of ideas. I don't know anything else. I just throw ideas out, and I'm waiting for people to bite on them and make them happen. Cool stuff. Before I step out of here, got to have a few more words from the great folks that make this shit possible, our supporters of the Revved Up Sports Show.
Hey racers, Phil Whipple here with the Revved Up Sports Show. For the past year, you've heard us talking about our partners over at Generation Race Cars. I'm proud to say they're back again this year, and they're off to a great start. Generation Race Cars, located in Springtown, Texas, continues to offer new chassis body combos all the way to turnkey sport mods and limited modifieds. All cars are built the same as you've seen in Victory Lane, with drivers like Alex Hickam, Jeff Shepard, and Dean Abbey. All customers are valued and treated equally, so why not join the winning team? Justin Long is committed to giving each and every customer the time they deserve, along with a commitment to bring quality into every build. If you're ready to join the team, give the guys over at Generation Race Cars a call today at 817-528-2947. You put a lot into your racing program, so why not take it to Victory Lane with Team GRC?
Great Monday night Revved Up Sports Show. Thank you all for being a part of the program. Love the interaction. Love all of you diving in here and being a part of the show. I mean, that's what it's all about. I mean, that's why we do this. That's why we've been doing this for so long. It's all about you guys. It's all about you race fans, all you racers and track promoters and everybody that has continued to grow this show and make it such a Monday night tradition. I know we got Monday Night Football, but I do, and Bobby does as well. We take a lot of pride in the fact that folks actually want to tune in at 6:30, dive in on RevvedUpSportsShow.com or on YouTube and Race on Texas and all these different places and be a part of this and just talk about racing. I was actually talking to someone today, and he was asking me about how the show started. And it's like, we had a bunch of folks that wanted to get together, and we wanted to find a place where we could all get together and just talk about the sport that we love. And that's how this show came to be, and that's how this show will continue to evolve and continue to be a Monday night staple. Thank you all once again. As we dive in, again, no show on Monday. Obviously, I would probably do one, but I think that's Christmas. I'd probably get in a lot of trouble if I tried to do that. But I do want to wish each and every one of you a very blessed holiday. As we get into that Christmas season, I mean, I do ask as we get into this. I mean, I know that we all get caught up in the holiday spirit and everything, and a lot of times it's more of a mental anguish than anything else. With the stress and everything that you dive into when it comes to gifts and all of that. I mean, just remember the true spirit of the holiday season. I mean, it's all about kind of like Thanksgiving. I mean, it's family, it's being together, it's being thankful, and just being just being grateful. I mean, I think that's the one thing that we all need to remember from time to time. Take a step back from the stress of gifts and gift giving and gift receiving and traveling and everything, and just enjoy the holiday season, because that's really what it's all about. From all of us at RPM Multimedia, from me and from Bobby and from everyone involved here with this production. Thank you all for being a part of this. So grateful for all of you. Have a safe and Merry Christmas. Enjoy this time. Like I said, no show on Monday. We'll figure out what we're doing for New Year's. I'm actually going to be in New Orleans doing some work with Texas Sports Unfiltered for Texas with the Sugar Bowl there. So there will be shows. So just stay in touch right there, and we will do it again soon. Merry Christmas. God bless you all. Enjoy that time together, and we'll do it again soon. Hashtag Real Race Talk. It is the Revved Up Sports Show, guys. Have a blessed holiday time, and we'll see you soon.